So I posted this video on YouTube and on Reddit. The curses of Deuteronomy 28 gets returned to their heads. You own nothing and be happy. In it, I explained that everything that was done to Israel and Judah gets returned back to their heads. Of the nations that did that to them. So everything that was done to Israel and Judah while in captivity gets returned right back to these nations. And if you read Deuteronomy 28, those are the curses they fell upon us. So those very curses get returned back to the nations of the world. And Psalms 83 tells you all the nations that came together to do this to us. They split our lands among themselves, and they took our people and scattered us to the four corners of the world. That's what it tells you in the scriptures. The great trumpet will sound, and he will send out his angels to the four corners of the earth, and they will gather his chosen people from one end to the other. Because when the time of exile is up, he's going to gather his people. It's a gathering, a second Exodus, no rapture. And I also want to point this out that in the first Exodus, there was a portion of Egyptians that came along with us because they too started following our God. It will happen again. So there are two Babylons. There's a system of Babylon that is throughout the world. Then there's Mystery Babylon, which is America. And the king of Babylon always sits in our lands. So the whole world is under judgment. But Mystery Babylon will be destroyed because this is the land that he gave to his children. So he will be purifying this land. And that is by fire. For the earth is reserved for fire. I know this is not what you're used to because, after all, religion is a system that they gave the people. This is a spiritual bondage, spiritual prisons. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. So yes, America will be let out in captivity. So yes, America, when Russia and China gets here, will be led into captivity as slaves. But because the whole world is under judgment, COP28, 198 nations are together. So everything that's coming into the world, they're all together. These are all the people that came against Israel. So this is what's coming. Like I said, captivity. We were slaves, right? It just gets returned back to the nations of the world. And I also made this video as well for entertainment purposes only, D-Day Part 1. And I showed you that one of the things they're going to do is water crisis. They're going to use it as a reward system. So in other words, like you give a dog a treat to train them. So if you're good and you're complying with them, you get water. And if you don't, then you get no water.
Refer to this whole operation as the Great Reset. And so I'm also someone who studies law as well as finance, and I happen to have Black's Law Dictionary in my library. So I looked up, and someone suggested this to me, so it wasn't just my idea, but I looked up the word reset, and it describes a theft, a transfer of ownership against property owners' rights. So in other words, if the plan is that you'll own nothing and rent everything, then that means that everything you own now will have to be transferred to someone else's ownership. And since reset means a great theft, essentially somebody is going to steal everything that we own. And that's what the reset is about, and that's why we're going to have to rent it. And that might be what we agree to cancel all our debt.
It's a review on the economics of water, and we will be looking at the value of water and considering different novel economic policy measures, of which one may be, for example, putting some form of price on water in order to guide and give incentives, but not as a price to punish those who are poor, but rather to reward those that are stewards of fresh water for the common good. So this is quite an exciting moment of potentially giving finally the credit. So not only are we at a position where water is not getting the importance it deserves, but those who actually manage water in a sustainable way are also not getting the benefits that they deserve.
And central to that, and I know Tarman will talk more about it, it really is this kind of getting rid of this public-private divide. This is going to require huge amounts of collaboration, huge amounts of co-investment and finance, and how to actually design that with a common good lens is one of the really innovative things that this group is going to provide. that will be coming out, which I'm sure Tormin will get to, is going to be called the Review on Water as a Common Good. And that word, common good, is actually a radical word. Because in economics, we have notions of the public good. It sounds good, because the second word is good, but it's really framed more as a correction for...
Schwab's life by subscription, quote, is really serfdom. It's slavery. Billionaire globalist corporations will own everything. Homes, factories, farms, cars, furniture. And everyday citizens will rent what they need, if their social credit score allows. The plan of the Great Reset is that you will die with nothing. To pull off this evil plan, Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum will need to take more than just material possessions from Australians. Senators in this very chamber today who support the Great Reset threaten our privacy, freedom and dignity. Yes, they're in this Senate chamber. One Nation vehemently opposes the Great Reset, the Digital Identity Bill, theft of agricultural land use, forcing farmers off their land, and all of the Great Reset. One Nation has a comprehensive plan to bring our beautiful country back to sustainable prosperity. And in the months ahead, we will be rolling that plan out. Instead of LibLab pushing Klaus Schwab's Great Reset with the tagline, "You'll own nothing and be happy," One Nation advocates the Great Resist. We stand for a world where individuals and communities have primacy over predatory globalist billionaires and their quisling bureaucrats, politicians and mouthpiece media.
That's not going to happen, by the way, because Australia also enslaved our people. When we broke covenant, Jah rose up a nation to pass judgment on Israel and Judah. Now he's doing it again, worldwide. He punished us through the generations. So if this is on your bloodline, I suggest you repent for yourself and stand in the gap for your ancestors as well, so that the curses don't fall upon you. I know this is not what you're used to hearing, because after all, these are prophets of Baal, all these spiritual prisons, and they will never tell you the truth. But when it starts to play out, you will remember this video.